Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be inspecting an eBay purchase. It's a multifunction safety lamp. According to the box, made in China, primarily sold in India, I think. I'm not quite sure. That might be a Japanese font, I'm not sure. They've got a couple of different sort of language types. Basically it's a braking indicator system for a bicycle. I've already unboxed it. Here we have it. There's the safety, mounting clamp, and this bit of tissue paper has the instructions. Direction, illustration of corner brake lamp. Press down with the protruding line of the cell and push. It's the usual sort of cheap Chinese production values, so you're not expecting anything stunning here, really. Basically, I had a voucher. If you had a PayPal account, you could get a £5 voucher. And I like to keep a little list of cheap things. If I've ever got a bit of spare money, I'll grab a bunch of really cheap items that might be of some help to me, like small microphone capsules. But in this case, I'm going to attack this, and I'm honestly not too bothered if it's not in a fantastic state, because really all I want is the mouldings there, because I can retrofit stuff into it otherwise. A nice casing is really what I'm after. But let's tear this thing apart and see how it's put together. Box, I think it must be an old stock. The guy imported from Germany, of all places, so I think it must be old stock the guy had sitting around, because the box isn't in very good shape. The clip, bit flimsy. They're not lock nuts, that'll probably come loose after a time, but might do for very light use. Really wouldn't want to personally, but I can find something else. Okay, now I'll put a couple of batteries in it. So you can see, here's the console. It goes on the handlebars. Let's turn it on. The big switch labelled night. That is turned on one LED. Let's see. Turn it off. Okay. This slide here. I have two LEDs on this side, which both appear to be red, are flashing. On the other side. It's not terribly bright, is it? In fact, it's not very bright at all. Now this button here, that's supposed to go somewhere near the brake calipers where it'll be contact when you apply the brakes. That turns on all three center lights, and it's that's not too bad, I suppose. If I turn the lights out, that's with the lights out. That's not terribly bright, is it? Likewise. And a bit epileptic, these flashes. They're very fast. Not terribly bright. And also, again, red. Lights. Yep. Okay. Clear. Right. Let's start. I want to get in here, but first I want to open up the control unit here. The screws are not fantastic. Need something slightly wider there. They're quite small screws, but they still need quite a stubby screwdriver bit, because they're quite wide. They're not very good screws. And what I'm curious about in here is how it's actually wired. Because, you know, ideally, in an ideal world, I'd take the time and build up a whole system, but frankly I just want something that works. In the short term, I can work on a better system to mount in the case later on. one of the things I'm hoping I can do is replace the switch, because that, as an indicator switch, it's a little bit looser now. I've done it a few times, but frankly, it's... How are you going to be doing this? You've got it on your handlebars. You have your handle around there. You might be able to get your thumb across, and then you just got to wiggle it back and forth while you're riding the bike to find the centre, so it turns itself off. No, it's not really the right way to go about it. What we do have here, though, some slide switches. Oh, it's not too bad. I was worried that it might be a case of it's moulded in, just little bridge contacts going between two pads on a board. We've got here. It's actually a lot easier to use like that. What I'm thinking about doing is taking this switch off and changing it for a toggle switch that's off in the centre and has two momentary contacts on the end. So instead of being on and holding, you would have to hold it down in position, and you release it, it will return to the off centre position. That's all that means. Just turn it sideways. In case of click it up, hold it with your thumb until you've turned the corner, release, and you're done. And they're only a couple of quid, so that'd be quite a nice way to go about that. It'll probably need remounting in some way, because obviously you get it on sideways. What have we got here? Not an awful lot. I count 3 transistors, a small capacitor, so it looks like it's just a capacitive discharge circuit. The brake line runs straight into the end. Okay, we'll start by taking the batteries out. Battery compartment's not, well, it's not too bad, but it's moulding could be better. Ideally, you wouldn't want to have to leave the batteries out of their compartments. In fact, what I think I'll do here is I'm just going to quickly unwind this. So if I can unwind it, I can give myself a little more slack to work with. Okay, just pull it through then. I'll always replace the cable if I need to. Like I said though, I had a voucher. This, including postage, was only about £7, so it really is dirt cheap, and I'm kind of surprised even, because there's not an awful lot of them on eBay. I thought you might be able to have got yourself a better deal. You find the auction linked in the video description, in case you really want one yourself. There weren't too many left last time I looked. It says directional brake lights and directional brake light 8 tunes. I'm not quite sure why it got 8 tunes. Maybe it means flashing patterns, or it's the hard thing with when you've got translation errors in the mix. You're never quite sure what it is that spawned the error. Let's see. I can just about get in there. No, it can't. So all the small drivers are too small and precise to actually get into the crude holes we got here. Yes, I press really hard, I can just about mash it in, which is a terrible way to do it, but the cheap screws, I think it's more like to mash the screw up than it is the screwdriver. Now, I'm doing this on cardboard today because I thought it probably wouldn't look quite as good if I had it on the actual bench, because the bench is now covered in paint and resin stains, and ideally I need to sand it down and get it varnished and stop using the bare surface. Anyway, let's open this up. Let's pop that. No, that's not something. There we go. That all falls to bits. Okay, what have we got? Well, that couldn't be more simple. It's a good start. We have 7 LEDs. There's no logic on board. There's a couple of resistors. There's, oh dear, that's not good. If you can make out, down here there's some through holes on the PCB, which is very, very thin. Some through holes, but instead of putting the wires through the through holes, they've used them as solder tabs. So, well, that's something that can be improved anyway. Won't be very hard to improve. Positive on this, and we want negative over here. Now the button's gone. Yep, centre, definitely red, and just to make sure it wasn't an optical illusion, nope. The indicators are red as well, despite having orange lenses. So that could be better. They're not particularly bright LEDs. So what I think I'll be doing is taking some of these ultra brights I've had sitting around for a while and soldering up them as replacements on the board. Now if we just have a quick look here, that's fully populated, so I can't jam any more in there really. Bit of a shame maybe, but then again the only bits really I was after were these. You see they actually just slide together. That's not a bad fixing system. Just slight tongue and groove connections. So that's quite nice. A little bit of thought's gone into that. It's not sealed. So a bit of a silicon sealant on there probably wouldn't go amiss. But this should be able to be improved with, fairly simply. Oh my goodness. Look at that. That's the positive. And instead of going that's right round the houses here, all the way round here to the pickup. And you've really got to ask why, because it's not like it's got to go onto a header here. It's that wire could be attached anywhere. I mean, it could be attached anywhere. If they just made the board a millimetre longer, feed the line around the side. That's a very questionable design choice. Yeah, we've got a very crude reflector here. Casting quality on the inside is pretty abysmal. I mean, it looks like it's been hacked out by hand there. I mean, there's... Oh dear, that's really not very nice. In fact, that pretty much does look like it's been hacked out by hand, possibly. The outside's okay, but anything out of sight is just quite horrible. But it will do the job, possibly. I thought, since I fancy doing some detail work, I'd take a few minutes and solder in an ultra bright LED in the centre position there to replace the existing ones. And in doing so, I discovered something not about this, which I thought would be the issue at first, but actually the ultra bright LEDs I had on hand, the anvil and post, I think they're called, in the centre of the LED. Usually, the larger side of the metal inside the resin is the negative, and the smaller side is the positive. In the ultra brights I have on hand, apparently this is not the case. While the bevel is on the correct side for negative, it's on the side of the smaller side, so at first, just looking at the inside of that, I have soldered that in backwards. It does still work though, as I shall prove. So some power up. Go straight to the LED pin. Again at 3 volts. It's on. Tilt that towards the camera. A blinding view. how much brighter that centre one is. Like that over it. That should look quite... Oh, that's much better. Much better indeed. I'll replace the other two while I'm here. Okay, power back on. New LEDs in place. Night, same one. And where's the brake button gone? There we are. Oh. One works. Why don't the others? Working. Working very well. Yeah, I must have changed some sort of threshold on the voltages. Oh well. I mean, there's probably something in the controller here that just can't handle it. Just that little bit too much current. But, you know, sod it, I'll just cut the rest of the wires and build something else up. A little AVR to do some flashing sequences. Some speeds and so on. Because people expect a bike to have flashing lights on the back. They really do. And they're a lot more solid than they were before. I don't think I have any yellow LEDs though. That's a real shame. Right, so I've got some very cheap bag of 50 ultra bright yellow LEDs off eBay. I've rewired this. I've disconnected from the controller because frankly the controller's going to be useless now. But we just ping it through. Centre red, outer red, indicator, indicator. We just tap it to. That's beautifully bright, especially compared to how it used to be. And the centre red, I was imagining something like just indicating between the two of them. I think it'd be quite effective as a running light. And now I've just got to build up a proper controller for it. Alright, let's see how this thing works in the dark. Did it with the other one before I changed the LEDs. Okay. Centre, sides, both, left and right. That's fucking blinkers in there, you know, hazard lights, doing both at the same time.